Okay, Jack Johnson, John Payne.
can smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by if you smile through your tears and sorrow. Smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile. What's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Maybe ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile. What's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still if you just smile.
That's the last part of Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Jerome Kern. And I'd like to welcome all of our
fans of the CJO back and just desperately wanting to see you as soon as possible so that we can continue to present for you the finest from big band jazz, not just the finest of Duke Ellington or Stan Kenton or Woody Herman, but the finest of Jack Shantz, the finest of Evelyn Wright, and the finest music that I can create to feature them as effectively as possible. Hoping to see you soon at our next CJO season.
Hello, I'm Scott Garlock, and I'm a member of and am Executive Director of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. We'd like to welcome you tonight to our annual benefit. It's a virtual benefit. It's not the usual benefit that we have where we're in person and we get to mix and mingle and have a blast with all of you. And we're really sorry that that's just the case, but that is the case right now. We hope, though, that this evening, where we're going to offer you examples of us playing and an opportunity to learn more about us, will kind of tide you all over until we get a chance to do that once again. Also hope that you will take this opportunity to support all that the CJO does from year to year and has for over 35 years. Impactful educational outreach, concerts in our communities, parks, places of worship, clubs, and concert halls that feature great guest artists, inventive themes, inventive original music, and of course, some of the finest musicians in the world right here from Cleveland, Ohio. So, for the next hour or so, we're going to be sharing some sounds and our story with you. Our annual fundraising campaign and benefit make sure that we can continue to serve our area from year to year. I hope that you'll join me and many, many others that continue to seek ways to continue to support the CJO. In the meantime, please enjoy. This was a great opportunity for us to share with you while we can't be with you. Have a great time.
That was the CJO in 2012, led at that time by the amazing Sean Jones. For over 35 years, the CJO has left an indelible mark on the cultural fabric of Northeast Ohio.
In 1984, the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra was formed when Gary Scott decided to hire some musicians who'd been playing with essentially a rehearsal band called the North Coast Jazz Orchestra, and formed the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra in 1984, and they played their first gig in May of '84 at Peabody's Down Under in the Flats. And they've been running ever since, and have become, I think, an institution in Cleveland, one of the few jazz institutions that still survives.
Part of the lengthy success of the CJO has been due to the great leadership that has steered the organization. Each artistic director, from Gary Scott to Roland Palucci to Jack Shantz to Sean Jones and now Paul Ferguson, have moved our musical needle in substantial and in often fresh ways.
People ask me about the artistic direction of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, and my feeling is a lot along the lines of Duke Ellington. You respond to the players who are present in the band. So over the years, I've been very fortunate to premiere pieces by Howie Smith, Aidan Plank, and Brad Wagner, and quite frankly, a lot of my music has been played as well. It's just one of the things I'm most grateful for. The band in the middle 1980s, when it started, played a lot of music, what we'll say, off the shelf. And then in the early 1990s, Jack Shantz made it more of an arranger's band by inviting Bill Holman, Billy Byers, Bob Brookmeyer, and Murray Schneider to conduct the band. And he also did a lot of my works. And in the current manifestation, I'm trying to play as much stuff by people within the band, but also to provide a mix of the classics as well. It depends upon the concert, but overall, I always want to make sure that we present a uniquely Cleveland product.
With the CJO in 1988, and by 1991, I think I was artistic director, and my very first concert with the band was, our guest artist was Billy Byers, who was one of my heroes, and so that kind of set the stage for the direction that I thought the band ought to go in, which was featuring all the great writers. And so over the years, over the next 17 years, we had Sammy Nestico, Bill Holman, Bob Brookmeyer, Frank Foster, Claire Fisher, Bob Florence, Bill Finnegan. We did the music of Jerry Mulligan. One of my favorites, and for me, one of the most satisfying concerts was George Russell.
And Bill Finnegan came in. We did an interview with him before the concert, and he directed the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra playing some of these very complex arrangements. I mean, they used some wild instrumentation at times, from tuba to xylophones to everything you can think of. And the band played these arrangements and played them very well. And it was the only time up to that point, and perhaps since then, that any other band has played those complex Sauter-Finnegan arrangements. They were amazing.
Time to reminisce. All the years go by with this great orchestra and all the folks that have been with us as guest artists like Ann Hampton Calloway and Dee Dee Alexander, Lou Armagno, Dominic Farinacci. It goes on and on. It's been a great run.
The players of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, I've been with the band since 1988, and some of these friendships go back quite a long way. I'm really thankful for the contributions of people like John Clayman, who was there at the beginning. George Shernett was there at the beginning. Howie Smith joined us around 2009 and gave us 10 fabulous years First when Sean Jones was leading the band, and then later on it was my pleasure to have Howie play lead alto in his compositions. So just down the line, sitting next to my first teacher, Chaz Baker. What a pleasure that was, and all the music that Chaz contributed to the band over the years. Hearing people like Brad Wagner maturing, coming into his own, not just as a writer, but also as a player. Being able to play with Jim Rupp, one of the best drummers in the world. Being able to witness the compositional and playing growth of Aidan Plank, one of the best bass players on the planet, and someone whose compositions we're featuring more and more. So this is what I think of when I think of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, and it's my pleasure.
You know, one of the jokes about being a jazz musician is when you go out and you play a gig, it's a casual or something, the stakes aren't very high, and you say, well, we're not making jazz history. But I think we made a lot of jazz history with the CJO over the years, and sure played a lot of great music, and got to meet a lot of great people. And the trend is continuing.
We have made jazz history. Here's the band live with Sammy Nestico in 1998.
Seminestico, ladies and gentlemen.
Something that developed very early in the band's history was our ability to perform in a myriad of styles. A typical concert season might feature everything from Alexander's Ragtime Band to the music of Kenny Wheeler. And over the years, the CJO has brought a veritable who's who of guest artists to Northeast Ohio. In particular, the band has enjoyed an incredible relationship with native Clevelander and tenor saxophone colossus Joe Lovano. While Joe's been featured with the band on many occasions, one of our highlights over the years was certainly the week we spent with Joe at New York City's famed Birdland nightclub, which brought forth a recording. Here's Joe's most recent appearance with the band doing Jim McNeely's arrangement of Coltrane's A Love Supreme.
The CJO's catchphrase, "the best jazz you've ever heard and the best jazz you've never heard," is realized by the great playing in the band and in the original arrangements created specifically for CJO's artistic forces. Whether in our season series shows or in our communities via the CJO in the City program, CJO audiences can be sure that they'll have a unique and energetic sound experience every single time.
The concerts that we did and do are so disparate and spread out across the jazz idiom, I guess. I hate using words like idiom, but we do some cool, different cool stuff.
Cleveland Jazz Orchestra has excellent musicians who know what they're doing and can present it to anyone in a way anyone can understand. It's a way to keep jazz alive and to teach it to younger generations.
To me, music can be a break or a release or freedom from the world that's going on around us. And I think a lot of times when you can listen to the creativity of really professional musicians, it's something that you can get lost in. And just for a second, you can kind of forget maybe what's going on and get lost in simpler times.
Our relationship runs deep. I've been at the Bob Stop for 6 years, and the band continues to play here. And, we love to grow the jazz scene in Cleveland together.
Good evening. I'm Heather Meeker, the Executive Director of the Musical Theater Project. The Musical Theater Project and Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, over the last 5 years, have created some fascinating rhythms through our collaborative concerts. In fact, we were supposed to get together to partner this fall for a concert called The Gershwins on Broadway, a follow-up to our successful concert, The Gershwins in Hollywood, a couple of years ago. Alas, we've had to postpone that event. But George Gershwin felt that jazz was the preferred rhythm of our country. In fact, he said that jazz is the result of the energy stored up in America. During this challenging time, we know that that energy continues to remain vibrant in our hearts and our minds. So until we can meet again in person, congratulations to the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. We will find a way to improv through this together and look forward to seeing you on the other side.
A wonderful contribution to the Cleveland arts community. I'm very proud that many members of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra also play in the Cleveland Pops. Please support this wonderful organization.
The 3 words I think about when I hear Cleveland Jazz Orchestra: just great jazz.
Learning.
Always exciting.
Great fun.
Became dear friends.
Amazingly talented.
Love the CJO.
Swinging safari.
Great dudes, great musicians.
Creativity. Freedom.
Fun. Classy fun. Mysterious.
A bright future.
Fabulous jazz musicians.
Good friends and good music.
The Cleveland Jazz Orchestra makes me happy.
Adventure, integrity, and vision.
Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, what comes to my mind immediately, and it's because I am who I am and I play trumpet, is Jack Shantz.
The 2 words I think about when I think about the CJO, Jim Rupp.
Collaborative, energetic, rhythmic, syncopated, swinging.
Professional musicianship, classy, and fun.
The CJO is inspirational.
Big band.
Artistically sound.
Have a Cleveland institution.
The Cleveland Jazz Orchestra? Swinging.
The CJO is deeply committed to fostering the well-being and musical development of our region's students. Not only are CJO musicians master performers, but we're also master teachers. CJO members can be found teaching in our universities, public schools, music stores, and privately. As can be seen in these accompanying slides, students continue to be enriched by the care and expertise of CJO musicians. In the year prior to the pandemic, over 3,200 students either saw the CJO for free or received in-person time with a CJO artist. Among the many activities in our educational outreach umbrella include the holding of CJO rehearsals in high schools, pre-concert talks given by CJO members to students before shows, and students performing on or before CJO formal concerts. This past fall, a pilot program took place at Ben Franklin Elementary School in the Cleveland Municipal School District, which culminated in a free concert with these students and CGO members at the Maltz Performing Arts Center, which you'll see in a few minutes.
Jazz is open music designed for open minds. Through jazz education, we engage students where they are in ability and increase their skills while affording them the opportunity for their own self-expression and creativity. Whether it is a musical expression of joy or sorrow, comfort or exploration, or an attempt to express feelings we can't put into words, all students working with CJO artists are encouraged to find their voice.
Can't learn about American history without jazz, because it's an American art. It started here, it grew here. It's still where it hops. It's all over the world. And just right now with schools have cut back so much on music programs and arts programs that we have to keep going with it.
When I was growing up, I played in the marching band and my high school's jazz band, and I never really had my eyes set on becoming a professional musician, but music shaped my life. It made me the person that I am today. It gave me leadership abilities. It really gave me the ability to think outside the box and to make friends with people and connections I wouldn't normally have connections with. And I think that a lot of the educational outreach that the CJO does helps spread music and give those skills to people that don't realize that that is what music can do for you.
I just want to give a shout out to the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra for all their support over these years. We've had an opportunity to collaborate on a few occasions, and we've had many of their players into school to work with our students. You know, playing side by side and learning from the top musicians is a great way for the students to take their game plan to the next level. These connections are meaningful, and they definitely inspire our young students to play better, to practice, to up their game. Thank you so much.
I'm the lead trumpet with the Hawken Jazz Band, and last year our band was able to play side by side with the CJO. Throughout the rehearsal process, the band members worked with all of us as individuals and as a band. We all learned so much during that process, and I actually got to take a solo that night, and I hope to be back for another one someday. Thank you to the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra.
I am truly privileged to have a unique lens on the artists of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra that takes them off the stage and into the classroom. We all believe that this should be equally accessible to all students in Northeast Ohio, and ask that you support our efforts with donations for jazz education. We go to the schools and meet the students where they are. Please join us. I invite you now to listen to some of our teaching artists and our music teachers as they describe some of what we have done in our schools, made possible through your generous donations.
We're looking forward to our future collaborations together. This past spring, Paul Ferguson was going to do a collaborative piece with our combo. Unfortunately, the COVID restrictions put a damper on that. But as we get the green light from Hawken School, we're looking forward to picking up where we left off. Thank you. Have a wonderful night, and it's fantastic to have such great jazz right here in Cleveland.
It's a lot of stuff, a lot of amazing things that we're trying to get off the ground and that we're doing. I hope that you can support us and keep us going through during COVID. We appreciate y'all. Hope you're staying safe and healthy out there.
Cleveland Jazz Orchestra does a great job of educational outreach locally here in Cleveland with students who might otherwise not have access to professional musicians.
Educational outreach program is so beneficial to young minds, and now as a music teacher and musician myself, it's wonderful to be able to participate in these opportunities to share my experience and my passion of teaching music and performing music with young minds. So I really hope that You will continue to support this organization. We appreciate it. We love performing and sharing our gifts with students and audiences all around Northeast Ohio.
This past season, I was able to be a part of the outreach program as part of being a member of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. It's something I'm very thankful I had a chance to be a part of. As a teacher and adjunct faculty, teaching is a huge part of my life. Working with the students at Ben Franklin was an amazing opportunity. The kids are super duper talented. And it was really cool to see their transformation from being really shy, not really wanting to play, and play by themselves and solo to the final performance when they were all kind of chomping at the bits to play, even though they were still a little bit shy and nervous. So it's really cool to see that transformation.
I'm Joe Miller. I'm from the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. And first of all, thank you for letting us work with your wonderful young musicians over there. They were really fun. They have way more talent than they think they have. Oh, yeah, you do, Michaela. And we covered a little bit of jazz. We covered a little bit of jazz history, like where it comes from, its roots, how it came out of New Orleans, how it came out of, you know, a beautiful art form from an oppressed people, and it's a uniquely American art form, and, you know, improvisation is sort of at the heart of jazz. We're going to play some blues for you now. We're going to feature some of the students in the band, since the blues is sort of at the heart of pretty much all of jazz and all of popular music. So that's where we started with them, and they took to it right away. So you can hear this one called Blues Walk. Ready? Can you guys do that fast? 1, 2, 3.
Hey, it's Brad Wagner, saxophonist for the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. I'm going to bring your attention to two things. We've been writing new music for the band, and we have been expanding our educational outreach. We'd like that to continue, so if you're able to help, please do, and thank you.
Quarantining meant that we couldn't be in schools for our educational outreach efforts, so our musicians created videos that were shared with music directors and band directors, thus offering a little extra support during these unprecedented times.
So think of jazz improvisation, music improvisation. Think of it the same way you learn a language. So the first thing we do when we learn our native tongue, when we learn whatever language we grew up speaking, is we hear it, we listen to that language. Our mother or grandmother, parents, whoever it is that's raising us, they're repeating these sounds. We're listening to these sounds that they're saying, listening to these words. And then we start to repeat those sounds. We start to repeat those words. We start to learn that different combinations of sounds, different combinations of words create different reactions within people. They create different emotions. They communicate different emotions. So step one is listening. Step two is repeating back what it is that you just heard. And the third thing is creating variations of what it is that we just repeated back.
When I go into a new piece of music or go to a rehearsal, I'm thinking about what can I do to be successful so that when I get with my peers or my colleagues, I'm able to start in the same place and end in the same place as everyone else. That's like the main goal or the immediate goal. But then you have to ask yourself, what is the end game goal? All right, what are you really trying to accomplish by playing your musical instrument? Well, a lot of people just want to be able to read and perform music that they like. So, what inspires you? What musicians do you listen to all the time? Do you want to be able to print something off the internet and be able to play it? Well, you need to be able to be literate and be able to be musically literate and read it so that you can play it so it sounds like the musicians intended it to sound. So I think that musical literacy is very important.
At the start of the new year, we were so excited to kick off a weekly newsletter so that we could inform our audience about upcoming events and shows. However, with the pandemic, we realized we didn't want to lose that connection with our audience, so we decided to pivot our focus and find ways to entertain and engage while people were stuck at home and we weren't able to perform live. This way, we could also introduce guests to new music, history, and just share our love of jazz.
That's the tail end of But Beautiful, which is a piece that I arranged for Evelyn Wright. And these circumstances that are created where I am able to write music for people like Evelyn Wright happen because we have funding from people like you. Not just to pay me, but also to pay the guys in the band, the people behind the scenes, the people renting the Hannah Theater, the people renting the Maltz Performing Arts Center. It all takes money, as it does for every arts organization. I hope that you'll consider continuing to help us, as you have in the past, so that I can continue writing music for my friends, which is one of the greatest pleasures I have ever known.
In addition to creating educational outreach videos and shifting the focus of our social media and community outreach, the CJO began a new program in which one free piece of CJO-created jazz ensemble music will be given away free to our students and teachers. The first of these was entitled Ovid on COVID, and it was jointly arranged by Chris Coles, Chris Anderson, Aidan Plank, and Artistic Director Paul Ferguson. We'd now like to share a recording of the premiere of this work, which took place in Ashland in August. Crestview High School band director Hannah Wolf is on stage with the CJO to receive the ceremonial first copy. Enjoy!
Hello, I'm Joel Brotman. I joined the CJO board shortly after moving to Gates Mills from the East Coast in 1998. Served proudly as its president from 1999 to 2006 and remained on the board as an officer until moving to Idaho in the fall of 2017. To say it was a privilege would be a gross understatement, as would saying it was a challenge. As we all know, it's a challenge, but certainly a worthwhile one to keep a not-for-profit performing arts organization financially viable, even one as superb as the CJO. The challenges notwithstanding, it was a joy and a privilege to have been associated with this truly great band, the great musicians, and my fellow board members. I also appreciate the generosity the band and its three great leaders during my tenure, Jack Shantz, Sean Jones, and Paul Ferguson, showed me when they graciously had me perform as a guest soloist from time to time, a true wannabe's dream. The message I want to convey right now is that as difficult as it is to keep a big jazz band, even one as superb as the CJO, financially sustained and growing, it's that much more difficult at a time of crisis, as all of us are now going through in multiple ways. So of course we're asking for your support always, but especially now.
I feel fortunate to be a part of it. I mean, this is America's music, and it's America's contribution to the arts. So it's great that the community supports it. We certainly appreciate all that support, and you know, we're dedicated to try and respect the past and the heritage of the music, yet push some boundaries forward as well. So it's a treat to be in the band and playing with all these great players and the great writing, and I'm excited for what's coming.
I am so honored to be part of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. I grew up really enjoying the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, and especially hearing my teacher Dave Morgan playing with the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. It's a complete honor to be part of the band, and I'm so excited to see where we go in the future, and I appreciate all of your support so much too.
I joined the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra so that I could continue to give back to our community.
It's been a great run, and the most important thing at this time, particularly in these days and times we're going through, is to help the CGO with money.
Everybody was welcoming and warming, and they've always been very supportive. And it's always been a niche for me that I love performing with the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. All the guys, Paul Ferguson, Jack Shantz, they all welcome me with open arms. Scott Garlick, thank you so much. It's just been a wonderful time, and hopefully there'll be many more years performing with this wonderful organization. A lot of fun. Thank you.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed is appreciating the orchestra over the years, then finally getting to play with the orchestra and all the great musicians who have passed through the orchestra, such as Howie Smith, Sean Jones was our director at one time. Now we have Paul Ferguson.
Once I started performing with the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, I had a kind of a moment where I was like, this is really cool. I get to play with other amazing trumpet players in the Cleveland scene that I've kind of looked up to since I've moved back and seen them perform. Jack Shantz is amazing, so to be able to sit next to him and kind of soak up through osmosis, hopefully, all his knowledge in performing aspects. And Joe Miller, every trumpet player that is up there on the stands with me, I learned something every single performance. So I'm thankful and happy to have those opportunities.
The jazz orchestra has always been operating on a shoestring, and it's always been very challenging to pay for everything that we need to pay for. And as the older generation like myself kind of pass into the history, and the younger generation of guys come up, guys like Chris Coles and Tommy Lehman and so many, Scott McKee, they're going to continue this music going on into the future. And it's really important that this organization keep going, and we need your help. So if you could give us some money to make sure that this lighthouse keeps shining, we would really appreciate it.
Just getting to play the variety of music that we do, it's so interesting, so entertaining, and all the cats are such bad dudes. And now we have some other new dudes in the group, like Chris Coles and Chris Burge and many others. It's just so fun to play in a big group like this. I love it.
I think when everybody kind of sets aside their differences and focuses on creating something together, if we would stop fighting each other, we could see the beautiful things that we can all create together. And I think the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra is a great example of that.
I also remember when the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra started with Jack Shantz. So I knew beforehand when there was no Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, and believe me, it is well worth supporting.
Right. All of the entertainment nonprofit groups have a tough time normally because you only get 25–30% of your money from ticket sales. And so you need outside sponsors. Unfortunately, Cleveland's population and big corporations have left. And you don't have that big support from the corporations. So if you want to have really great entertainment to stay in Cleveland, you got to step it up and donate. Or better yet, come to the shows and donate.
On behalf of the musicians, the staff, and the board of the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra, thank you for joining us at our virtual benefit. We're glad we could share the joy of jazz with you tonight. If you'd like to hear more jazz performances and help us educate the next generation of jazz artists, please donate before you go. Thanks again, and good night.
That's from the Music Man. It's called Good Night Ladies. Not a song that's often played for jazz gigs, but we all need some humor right now. So I'd like to thank all of you once again for joining us on our video. It's been a pleasure to be with you this evening, a pleasure to perform with my friends once again. Hope to see you as soon as possible. Thank you.
My love, my love, my love, my love, my love. set me burning. One kiss is all I need to seal my fate, and hand in hand we'll find love's promised land. There'll be no one but you and me eternally. If you would be my love, if you would be my love, you would be my love, you would be my love.
That was great.
Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm blue. My disposition depends on you. I never mind the rain in the sky, just as long as I can have that sunshine in your eyes. Sometimes I love you, and then again I might hate you. But if I hate you, well, that's just because I love you. That's how I am. So what can I do? I am happy just to be with you. There's a change in the weather and a change in the sea. From now on, there's gonna be a big change in me. My walk is gonna be different, my talk and my name. There ain't nothing about me will ever be the same. I'm gonna change my way of living, and if that ain't enough, well, I'll even change the way that I strut my stuff. 'Cause nobody wants you, nobody. When you're old, they say there'll be some changes made today. There'll be some changes made. Just ask the feminine folks why. Even all the famous comics have been changing their jokes. I have got to be different, or I'll just fade away. There'll be some changes made today. There'll be some changes made.